Horns up and welcome to a brand new episode of Headbanger's Kitchen. Today I'm going to be doing some French cooking and we are going to be making coq au vin, which is basically rooster cooked in wine. Now obviously there are no roosters around here, so we're going to be making this dish with chicken, which is pretty much how it's made today. Of course, back in the day I think roosters were used, and this is quite similar to the beef bourguignon recipe that I made earlier on the show, and you can click here and watch that recipe. Anyway, enough jibber jabber, let's go cook up some coq au vin. So for this recipe we're going to be using 2 full chicken legs with the skin and with the bone in. Now I'm butchering them off an entire chicken because that's what I had lying at home. So I will use the legs for this recipe and I will use the rest of the bird for other dishes. I would like to encourage you all to generally buy an entire chicken if you can. I just find that it's less wasteful when you buy an entire bird and use it up. Now that we've got our chicken legs off the chicken, we're going to season it generously on both sides with salt and pepper. Now most people like to use only chicken thighs for this recipe, but you can pretty much use whatever part of the bird that you like to eat the most. I like the entire leg with the thigh and the drumstick. That's the reason I've chosen to use the entire legs. I'm going to start out with some bacon cubes. You can also use pancetta. You can use any kind of bacon that you like. I love these smoked bacon cubes that I get, so I'm using them. And now you just want to cook that bacon till it gets nice and crispy. So, well, it takes a bit of time. You want to do this on a medium heat, not too hot, not too low either. And all that fat is going to render out and the bacon is going to crisp up nicely. So anyway, fry that bacon, be patient with it, and you're going to see all that fat being released and that bacon will turn nice and crispy. Anyway, once that is done, you're going to take that bacon out of the frying pan, and then you've got all that residual fat in the pan still. Now you can take out some of that if you don't want it all, but I would recommend leaving it in because it is high fat, isn't it? The next thing I'm going to do is add in the chicken to the pan into that delicious bacon fat and fry it. And just put it skin side down and let it be for a good 3 to 4 minutes. Do not fiddle with that chicken. Let it cook. Let that skin crisp up nicely. And once it's done cooking and it's got nice and golden brown, then you want to flip the chicken over. Now as you can see, there's a lot of residual oil in the pan from the bacon fat, as well as probably from the chicken as well. So I'm going to use that fat and baste the chicken. Oh yeah. And this is a great way to crisp up the skin around the side of the drumstick. And just cook the chicken till the skin is all nice and crispy, and once that's done, remove it from the pan and set it aside. Now sadly my camera did not record the next part, but once you've removed the chicken and set it aside, in the same fat that's in the pan, you want to add in mushrooms, regular button mushrooms, and pearl onions. And then you just want to saute the onions and the mushrooms in that fat till they start to get some color on them. The next thing we're going to do is add some fresh thyme to this, and then of course give it all a good mix. You're going to get the lovely herby flavor of thyme in this dish. And the next thing we're going to do is add in some red wine. You can use any wine that you like. I would recommend something dry that will have less carbs, and don't use too much wine, just use a little bit. You just want that wine flavor in the dish. Now we're just going to let that simmer and cook for a bit, and then I'm going to add in my chicken legs. The next thing I'm going to do is add in some chicken stock. And then I'm just going to cover it and let it braise in that wine and chicken stock, and it's going to be delicious. After about 5 minutes of cooking it, I'm going to open the lid and I'm going to add in about half the bacon that we fried. I just want that bacon to stew with all the juices as well, and it's going to be delicious. Anyway, cover it and cook it for another 5 minutes or so. Now that it's been cooking for a bit, we're going to open up the lid. We're going to take the chicken legs out because they are probably fully cooked by now and we don't want to overcook them. And now it's time to reduce that sauce and build up all those flavors. So you're just going to let that sauce simmer. Now as you are cooking the sauce, remember to keep tasting it, adjust the seasoning as you see fit, and once it's reached that taste that you desire and you are happy with, it's time to thicken it up using a bit of xanthan gum. Now this is completely optional. To be very honest, xanthan gum does sort of give it a unique texture, so to speak, but it does thicken it up. So if you want, you can use it, else you can skip it. And I'm just going to cover it up and cook it for another few minutes, and then our sauce is ready. And I'm going to finish it off with some freshly chopped parsley, and then I'm going to add in the chicken legs, and then the remainder of that crispy bacon. I'm going to top it with that, and yep, our coq au vin is ready. Finish it off with a little more fresh parsley, and oh my good lord, that looks so good. Oh yeah. Anyway, enough jibber jabber, time to taste. Alright folks, so it's time to taste the coq au vin, and look who has joined me. You have no idea who she is, but she's a very dear personal friend of mine. Her name is Anushka, and she is joining me to taste the coq au vin today because, well, she likes eating my food and she was in the neighborhood. So Anushka, are you ready to taste the coq au vin?
Yes, I am.
Alright, let's dig in.
Alright.
So Anushka is not on keto, so she has no clue about keto foods or anything like that. But you know what? What's important is that people like it whether they're in keto or not.
But what's different? I mean, what would be different from this recipe and a regular coq au vin recipe?
Well, for starters, there's no carrots.
Okay.
There's no potato. There's no flour.
There's no potato.
There's no flour to thicken the sauce. So it's basically, and it's got a good amount of fat in it. So
yeah,
we haven't shied away from the bacon juices and the bacon grease.
I can tell.
Yeah, you can.
It's really good though.
I'm liking it.
Me too.
I
really like the onions and the mushroom.
Me too. I've never used these onions before. Oh, they're pickled.
This is really
So like burst in your mouth and give you like a little acidity. So good?
This is really good. Sorry, I'm not talking much because I'm trying to get into this.
Well, it's always a good sign when the guest is not talking because they're busy eating. Anyway, you've heard it from my friend Anushka herself.
Yeah.
Who else would you hear from? But she's given the coq au vin the thumbs up, I hope.
For sure. It's amazing, you guys.
Awesome. So I hope you guys will make this at home. Share your pictures with me on Instagram, and well, I will see you on the next episode of Headbanger's Kitchen. And in fact, if you'd like to see Anushka back on the show, leave me a comment and let me know.
As long as it's a good recipe, I'm back.
Awesome. So anyway, I will see you on the next episode. Cheers and keep cooking.
Why does your perspective differ? Sentence over mine. One lips, one cutting, one draws line.